Great sunrise, family. Great sunrise. I hope all is well with you as it is with me. And today I am doing the reading of Colson, Whitehead, um, The Intuitionist. This author is the Pulitzer Prize winner of the book The Underground Railroad. I'm going to read to you today. I'm just going to read section 1 of this book, chapter 1, and then we'll go through it chapter by chapter because it's pretty long. And I think they're pretty long chapters. But The Intuitionist, it's about two warring factions in the development of elevator inspection in a bustling metropolis for dominance. The empirists who go by the book and rigorously check every structure and the mechanical detail, and the intuitionists whose observation methods involve meditation and instinct. Lila Mae Watson, the city's first Black female inspector and a devout intuitionist with the highest accuracy rate in the department, is at the center of the turmoil. An elevator in a new municipal building has crashed on Mae's watch, fanning the flames of the imperious, intuitionist, viewed and compelling Lila Mae to go underground to investigate. As she endeavors to clear her name, she becomes entangled in a web of intrigue that leads her to a secret that will change her life forever. A dead serious and seriously funny feat of the imagination. The intuitionist conjures a parallel universe in which latent ironies in matters of morality, politics, and race come to light, and stands as the celebrated debut of an important American writer. I just like today. I changed the time and the date that I was going to do this reading because I'm still under the weather. And not only am I under the weather now, but my back started aching on me again. So I'm in pain. But I took my pain medicine and I was like, I don't feel right. I don't feel right about I don't feel right about changing the date. I didn't feel right about that date and that time. I felt better about this date and time, so I left it at this date and time. And also, a lot of times we think that I wanted to do some side notes that has nothing to really, not quite to do with the book. The Moors, a lot of people think the Moors went into Europe to turn white people Black. They went into Europe because when you think about it, there was mixed race. There was mixed race because it was used as a war tactic against us, and they knew this. So they went there when they conquered. It wasn't for the white women. They want us to think it's for the white women, but it was for Black people, that they had mixed race. So that was what happened there. A lot of times our people think that somehow that this politics, because I remember I was talking yesterday about Winsome, Lieutenant Winsome, and how, in her mind as a woman, a Nubian woman, she thinks somehow that one party is better than the other party, but they're both the same. They're both the same. No party is really for us. So we have to come out of that. I don't know, how we got certain things in our minds, but they're there like that. So with that said, let's go on into the story, The Intuitionist. I'm gonna start reading. I said it's the best time to cuddle up with this book and read it to you guys. Even though I'm in pain, I took my pain medicine. It should be working. The weather outside is not good. So cuddle up and listen to a good book. Okay. It's a new elevator, freshly pressed to the rails, and it's not built to fall this fast. She doesn't know what to do with her eyes. The front door of the building is too scarred and gouged to look at, and the street behind her is improbably empty, as if the city had been evacuated and she's the only one who didn't hear about it. There is always the game at moments like this to distract her. She opens her leather filled binder and props it on her chest. The game gets harder the farther back she goes. Most of the inspectors from the last decade or so are still with the guild and are easy to identify. LMT, MG, BP, JW. So far, she doesn't particularly like the men who have preceded her at 125 Walker. Martin Grubber chews with his mouth open and likes to juggle his glass eye. Big Billy Porter is one of the old dogs and proud of it. On many occasions, Lilla May has returned to the pit from an errand only to hear Big Billy. Porter regaled the boys about the glory days of the guild. Before While his comments are never specific, it is clear to everyone just what and who Billy is, referring to in his croaking, muddy voice. Rebellious among the bureaucratic roles of the pit, Big Billy's oak desk juts out into the aisle so he can seat his bulk directly beneath one of the ceiling fans. He can seat his bulk directly beneath one of these ceiling fans. He says he overheats easily, and on the hottest days of the summer, his remaining hair slides away from how he's combed it. The strands easily into Nautilus whirls. It's a slow process, and watching it is like waiting for a new hour. But it happens eventually. All the inspectors who have visited 125 Walker in the past have been imperious. As far as she can tell, when she gets 15 years back in the record, there are no more faces to put to the initials. She recognizes the initials from the inspection records of the other elevators and other buildings, but has never met the people they belong to. JM, for example, is also listed in the inspection record of the elevator. Lila May departed just half an hour ago, and EH, she's learned over time, has a thing for worn God shoes. Something no one ever looks at except the real stickler types. Checking guide shoes is a losing proposition. Some of the initial men must be in pictures along the walls of the pit. The men in those pictures sport the regulation haircuts the guild required back then. Respectable haircuts fit for men of duty and responsibility. The haircuts are utilitarian. Utilitarian. Mishaps that project honor, fidelity, brotherhood, and unto death. The barber shop, 2 doors down from the guild, the one that always has big band music coming from inside, used to specialize, or so they say. Some of the younger inspectors have started wearing the haircut again. It's called a safety. Lila May's hair parts in the middle and cups like her round face, like 1,000 hungry fingers. The light at this hour on this street is the second-hand gray of ghetto twilight, a dull mercury color. She rings the superintendent again and hears a tiny bleating sound. Down 20 years in the record, she finds one of the treasures that make the game real. James Fulton and Frank Chankry inspected 125 Walker within 6 months of each other. From Lila May's vantage, it is easy to read into this coincidence. The passing of the crown, not clear why Fulton left his office to hit the field again, though 20 years ago he would have been dean of the institute and long past making the rounds of the building, ringing superintendents, waiting on worn and ugly stoops. Then she remembers Fulton liked to go into the field every now and again. So he wouldn't forget Fulton with his mahogany cane rapping impatiently on one of the three windows set in the front door of 125 Walker. Perhaps they weren't cracked then. Perhaps he cracked them. Across from his initial, the inspection record notes a problem with limit switch. A 387, she recognizes the handwriting from Fulton's room at the Institute. From the tall wooden display cases where this most famous papers are kept behind the glass in controlled atmosphere. As for Chankry, he would have been a young and rising inspector back then. A little thinner, fewer exploded capillaries in his nose. He wouldn't have been able to afford his double breasted Navy suits on rookie salary. But his position has changed since those days. Lila May sees Chankri swallowing the super the s- the s- the supper's hands with his oversized mitts and faltering camaraderie, 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 camaraderie. It takes a long time to become a politician, but he was born with that smile, with the smile. You can't fake smiles like that. Nice buildings, nice building you got here, chum. Nice to see a man who takes pride in his craft. Sometimes you walk into these places, you never know what you're going to see. Bless my heart. You want to see, you want to say to yourself, how can people live like this? But when we are all dealt differently and you have to play what you're dealt back home, he gave 125 Walker a clean bill. Lots on his mind. Lots on his mind. The wind is trapped in one of Walker Street's secret nooks. Pushing through, whistling, the elevator is an arbo, smooth glide. Popular with residential building contractors when 125 went up. Lila Mae remembers from a institute class on elevator marketing that Arbo spent millions promoting the smooth glide. In the trades and conventions, they were the first to understand the dark powers of the bikini. On a revolving platform, festooned with red, white, blue streamers, slender fingers fanned the air, summoning the contractors hither. The models have perfect American navels, and the air is stuffy in the old convention hall. A placard overlooked for red-blooded distractions, details in the silver script, Arbo's patented quarter point counterweight system. Has this ever happened to you? You just put the finishing touches on your latest assignment and are proud as a peacock to show off for your client. As you ride to the top floor, the brand X elevator stops and refuses to budge. You won't be working with them anymore. Say goodbye to Sticky. Stubborn counterweights with the new smooth glide residential elevator from Arbo. Over 2 million Arbo elevators are in use worldwide, going up. A bald head girdled by loose curls of red hair appears at the door's window. The man squints at Lila May and opens the door hiding his body behind the gray metal. He leaves it to her to speak. Lila Mae Watson, she says, I've come to inspect your elevator. The man's lips arch up towards his nose, and Lila Mae understands that he's never seen an elevator inspector like her before. Lila Mae has pinpointed a spot on the locus of metropolitan disaffection. A 0 point. It is situated in the heart of the city, on a street corner that clots with busy, mauling citizens during the day and empties completely at night, except for prostitutes and lost encyclopedia salesmen. It's a 2-minute walk from the office, with that 0 point as reference. She can predict just how much suspicion, curiosity, and anger she will arouse in her case. 125 Walker is the outer edges of the city, near the bank of polluted river that keeps the skyscrapers at bay from the suburbs, and quite a distance from the street corner. He doesn't like her. Let me see your badge, the man says. But Lila Mae's hand is already fishing in her jacket pocket. She flips open her identification and holds it up to the man's face. He doesn't bother to look at it. He just asks for a fact. The hallway smells of burning animal fat and obscure gravies boiling to slag. Half the ceiling lights are cracked open or missing. Back here, he says, the superintendent seems to be melting as he leads. Lila Mae across the grime caulks black and white hexagonal floor tile. His bulbous head dissolves into shoulders, then spreads into a broad pool of torso and legs. How come Jimmy didn't come this time? The super asks. Jimmy's good, people. Lily Mae doesn't answer him. Dark oil streaks his forearms and clouds his green t-shirt. A door bangs open upstairs and a loud female voice yells something in the chafing tones, reserved for disciplining children and pets. The lumpy, pitted texture of the cab's door tells her that management has painted it over a few times. But Lily Mae still recognizes the unusual wide dimension of an Arbo smooth glide door. Taking their cue from the early days of passenger response criticism, Arbo equipped their newest model with an oversized door to foster the illusion of space, to distract the passenger from what every passenger feels acutely about elevators, that they ride in a box on a rope in a pit, that they are in the void. If the super doesn't strip the old paint the next time he renovates, it will eventually impede the movement of the door. Of course, a lot of graffiti in this neighborhood. Already, the elevator door halts in the furrows when it opens. A violation waiting to be born. The nascent outlines of a 787. Lily Mae decides against saying anything to the super. It's not her job. You want to start in the machine room, I guess. The super says he's fixated on the idea triangular triangular triangularity of Lily Mae's tie knot. Its grid of purple and blue squares. The tie disappears near her bosom, gliding beneath the buttons of her dark blue suit. Lily Mae does not answer him. She leans against the dorsal wall of the elevator and listens. 125 Walker is only 12 floors high, and the vibrations of the idling drive doesn't diminish that. Hey Dee. Much as it swims through the gritty loop of the diverting pulley, descends down the cables, navigates the suspension gear, and grabs the car. Lily Mae can feel the idling in her back. She hears the door operator click above her. In the dark, and then the door shuts, halting a small degree as the strata of paint chafes. 3 Jimco helical springs are standard issue buffers on Arbo elevators. They wait 15 feet below her like stalagmites. Stalagmites. Press 12. Lily Mae orders the super. Even with her eyes closed, she could have done it herself. But she's trying to concentrate on the vibration massaging her back. She can almost see them now. Hey DOD. Hold on. Hold on. All right, family, let me find where I was left off. I was trying to get rid of the sounds and the noises. Okay. Press 12 is what she told him to do. And she was trying to concentrate on the vibration massaging her back. She can almost see them now. The elevator's vibrations are resolving themselves in her mind as an aqua blue cones. Her pen rests in the palm and her grip loosens. It might fall. She shuts out the sound of Super's breathing, which is low rumble, lilting, into a wheeze at the ultimate convexity of his exhalation. That's noise. The elevator moves. The elevator moves upward in the well towards the grunting in the machine room. And Lily Mae turns that into a picture. Two, the the ascension is red spike circling around the blue cone, which doubles in size and wobbles as the elevator starts climbing. She don't pick the shapes and their behavior. Everyone has their own set of genies. Depends on how your brain works. Lily Mae has always had a thing for geometric forms. As the elevator reaches the fifth floor, landing an orange octagon cartwheels into her mind's frame. It hops up and down incongruous with the angular aggression of the red spike. Cubes and parallelograms emerge around the eighth floor, but they're satisfied with half-hearted little jigs and don't disrupt the proceedings. Like the mischievous orange octagon, the octagon ricochets into foreground, famished for attention. She knows what it is. The triad of helical buffers recedes farther from her, 10 stories down at the dusty and dark floor of the well. No need to continue. Just before she opens her eyes, she tries to think of what the super's expression must be. She doesn't come close, save for that peculiar arching of his lips. But she doesn't count because she already saw that from when he opened the front door. The super's eyes are two black lines that withdraw in distinguishably into the skin of his hieroglyphic squint. His lips push up so far that his nostrils seem to suck them in. I'm going to have to cite you for faulty overspeed, Governor. Lily Mae says the door opens slowly in its track and the drive's idling vibration is full and strong. Up here, so close to the machine room. But you haven't even looked at it, the super says. You haven't even seen it. He is confused, and tiny pricks of blood speckle his pink cheeks. I'm going to have to cite you for faulty overspeed, Governor. Lily Mae repeats. She's removing the tiny screws from the glass. Inspections plate on the left interior wall of the elevator. The side of her screwdriver reads property of the Department of the Elevator Inspectors. It catches every 6 meters or so. Leela Mae adds as she withdraws the inspection slip from beneath the glass. If you want, I can get my handbook from the car and you can see the regulations for yourself. I don't want to look at damn book, the super says. At the damn book. He runs his thumbs animatedly across his fingers as she signs the slip and replaces the plate. I know what the book says. I want you to look at the damn thing yourself. It's running fine. You haven't even been upstairs. Nevertheless, Lily Mae says she opens her field binder and writes her initials at the bottom of the ID column. Even from the 12th floor, she can still hear the woman downstairs yelling at her children, or what Lily Mae supposes to be children. You never know these days. You aren't one of those voodoo inspectors, are you? Don't you need to see anything? You just feel it, right? I hear Jimmy make jokes about you witch doctors. She says, Intuitionist Lily Mae rubs the ballpoint of the pen to get the ink flowing. The W of her initials belong to a ghost alphabet. The super grins. If that's the game you want to play, he says, I guess you got me on the ropes. There are there are three $20 bills in his oily palm. He leans over to Lily Mae and places the money in her breast pocket, pats it down. I haven't ever seen a woman elevator inspector before, let alone a colored one. But I guess they teach you all the same tricks. The door of the apartment 12A cracks before Lily Mae. What's all this noise in the hall? A high, reedy voice asks. Who's that hanging out there? What you want? The super pulls 12A's door firmly shut and says, You just mind your own business, Mrs. LaFleur. It's just me. He turns back to Lily Mae and smiles again. He sticks his tongue into the hole where his two front teeth used to be. Arbo didn't lie about their quarter point counterweight system. It rarely fails. A regrettable incident at Atlanta kicked up a lot of fuss in the trades a few years back. But an inquiry later absolved Arbo of any wrongdoing, as they say. The models over speed governors are another matter, though notoriously unreliable and probability says their famous manufacturing defect should have emerged long ago. $60 is $60. You'll get a copy of the official citation in a few days in the mail, and it'll inform you how much the fine is. Lily Mae says she writes 333 and 125 Walker's inspection record. The super slaps the door of 12A with his big hand. But I just gave you $60. Nobody has ever squeezed me for more than 60. He's having trouble. Hold on. He's having trouble keeping his trembling arms still at his chest. No, he wouldn't mind taking a wipe at her. You placed $60 in my pocket. I don't think I implied by my behavior that I wanted you to bribe me, nor have I made any statement or gesture such an outreached palm. For example, saying that I could change my report because you gave me money. If you want to give away your hard earned money, Lily Mae waves her hand towards a concentration of graffiti. I see it as a curious, although in this case, a fortuitous habit of yours that has nothing whatsoever to do with me. Or why I'm here, Lily Mae starts down the stairs. After riding elevators all day, she looks forward to walking downstairs. If you want to try and take your $60 off me, you're welcome to try. And if you want to challenge my findings and have another person double check the overspeed governor, that's your right as a representative of this building. But I'm correct. Lily Mae abandons the super on the 12th floor with the Arbo smooth glide. The super cusses. She is right about the overspeed governor. She is never wrong. She doesn't know yet. All of the department's cars are algae green and shine like algae thanks to the diligent ministrations of the motor pool. On the night of his inauguration, Chancree gripped the lantern with the sausage fingers and announced his 10-point plan. The gold badge of his office hung over his shoulders by a log. Patriotic ribbon. Department vehicles, he thundered, must be kept in a condition befitting the department. Too much applause in the dim banquet room of the Albatross Hotel. Those seated at the long oval tables gathered around Mrs. Chancree's unholy floral arrangements easily translated point number 7 to the more succulent succulent those colored boys better put a shine on those cars. One of mechanics, Jimmy, has a secret crush on Lily Mae. Not completely secret. Lily Mae's sedan is the only one that gets vacuums daily. And each morning, when she leaves the garage for the field, the rear view mirror has been adjusted from the night shift's contortions to just the way she likes it. Jimmy is the slender character among the burly crew of Motor Pool and the youngest. The calluses on his hands are still tiny pebbles in his flesh. The traffic at quitting time is a bother. Radio station WCAM equips men with binoculars and positions them at a strategic overpasses to describe the gnarls and tangles. Lily Mae is never able to differentiate these men from the meandering isolates who linger. Close my room door. At the margins of freeways, all of them make obscure, furtive gestures. All share a certain stooped posture that says they lack substantive reasons for being where they are at the side of the road. Impossible to distinguish a walkie talkie from a bottle of cheap wine at such distances. They don't have alibis. Lily Mae appraises the men at the side of the road. Her sedan limps through the black glue. The WCAM sentry warns of an accident up ahead. A school bus has overturned, and as passing commuters rubberneck and bless themselves, the traffic clots. Over here, honks a woman in red compact. The light trilling of her car horn reveals its foreign birth. Cribside cooing in alien tongues. Lily Mae thinks her car horns work backward. They don't up, they don't prod and urge. The laggard ahead, but summon those behind. Some up, follow me. Lily Mae listens to the sporadic summons, listens to the news reports of WCAM, the red brake lights smoldering on the road ahead. Each of the announcers' words have the routine elegance, the blank purity Lily Mae associates with geometry. The announcer says that a low pressure system is rolling east. The announcer says that there's been an accident at the Fannie Briggs Memorial Building. An elevator has fallen. Now we're cooking. Lily Mae turns on her department radio and hears the dispatcher call her inspector's code. Come in, Z34. Report, Zulu 34. This is Z34 reporting to base. Lily Mae says, why haven't you reported back, Z34? Contrary to the prevailing notions, the elevator inspector dispatch room is not filled with long consoles staffed by an able company whose ferociously plug and unplug wires from myriad inputs busily routing the dispatch room is a small box on the top floor of the office, and there's only one person on duty at a time. It is very neat and has no windows. Craig's on dispatch now, and in Lily Mae's imagination, he is a skinny man with a brown hair who withers in his revolving chair dressed in the suspended slacks and in a sleeveless undershirt. She never seen a dispatcher, and she's only seen their room once. On her first day of work, he must have been in the bathroom or making coffee. I was on a call, Lily Mae responds. 125 Walker. I just stepped in the car. No one is going to catch her in that lie. Lily Mae always turned off the radio when she's finished for the day. Occasionally, one of the night shifts calls in sick, and Craig wants her to fill in for a few hours until the city and the department work out their overtime policies. There's no way Lily Mae is going to fill in for the night shift. If you haven't killed your hangover by 6 o'clock, you shouldn't take your lumps. Is what she thinks. You're to report back to HQ immediately, Craig says. Then he adds Zulu 34. I don't think I'm going to read the whole, I'm not going to get through the whole chapter 1. So I'm going to read as much as I can because I do need to get my rest so I can get better. And taking this pain medicine, I do need to eat something. I haven't ate nothing because I'm trying to get the pain managed so I can get the strength, to fix something. So I'll read maybe 2 to 3 more pages and then we'll call it a day and we'll start from there. What's this crap about the Briggs building? Lily Mae asked. You're to report back here immediately. Zulu 34. Chankri wants to talk to you. And I don't think I have to quote you, department. Rags on profanity over city frequencies. Dispatch out. Lily Mae returns to WCAM, hoping for more details. For some reason, Craig's being a hard ass, and that's not good. She considers staring over to the shoulder to bypass the traffic, brandishing her inspector credentials should a policeman stop her. But the police and the elevator inspectors have a difficult path. It's doubtful a cop would let her off the hook, even for city business, of course. The city has never answered Chankri's repeated requests for sirens. No one outside the guild seems to think they're necessary for some reason. Over the radio, one of the WCAM sentries ahead comments on how long it's taking the emergency techs to remove the children from the school bus. Lily Mae once delivered an oral report on Fanny Briggs in the 3rd grade. Fanny Briggs was the newer encyclopedias. Some ever had her picture. Fanny Briggs looked tired in the marginalia. Her eyelids drooped and her jaws oozed down from her cheek. Bones. Lily Mae stood in front of of Miss Parker's third grade class and trembled as she started her report. She preferred to fade into the back rows next to the rabbit cages beneath the awkward pastels of the spring art projects. There she was at Mrs. Parker's desk, and her index cards shook in her tiny hands. Fanny Briggs was a slave who taught herself how to read. One time, a radio program featured Dorothy Beecham, the most famous colored actress in country, reading parts of Fanny Briggs' account of her escape north. Lily Mae's mother called her into the drawing room. Lily Mae's legs dangled over her mother's lap as she leaned towards the brown mesh of the radio speaker. The actress' voice was iron and strong and did not fail to summon applause from the more liberal quarters of her audience, who murmured about noble struggle. Tiny particles of darkness pressed beyond the cracked, weedy mesh of the speaker. The kind of unsettling darkness Lily Mae and would later associate with the elevator well. Of course, she'd do her oral report on Fanny Briggs. Who else was there? Who else was there? Not much progress in this traffic. The times are changing in a city with increasingly vocal colored population who are not above staging tiresome demonstrations for the lowlier tabloids or throwing tomatoes and rotten cabbages during otherwise perfectly orchestrated speeches and rallies. It only makes sense to name the new municipal building after one of their heroes. This large and insane, this large and insane by being stupid. Okay. The ruler of this city, this large and insane by being stupid. The mayor is shrewd and understands that his city is not a southern city. It is not an old money city or a new money city, but the most famous city in the world. The rules are different here. The new municipal building has been named the Fanny Briggs Memorial Building, and there have been few complaints, fewer tomatoes when Lily Mae was assigned the Fanny Briggs Memorial. Okay. Beginning, she thought nothing of it. It made sense that it would be either her or Pompey, the only two colored inspectors in the department. Chancre, no fool. There are, after all, elections years in the elevator guild too, and this is one of them. And all sorts of unexpected things have been happening. The department wide $1.25 raise. The example, which according to Chancre, really adds up to pretty penny after a while. Not that the elevator inspectors, civil servants to the core, despite their maverick reputation and occasionally flashy antics, needed to be convinced of the importance of a $1.25 raise. A government job is a government job, whether it's inspecting elevators or railroad cars full of hanging meat and anything that brings their salaries into closer proportion to their contributions to the American good, who accepted cheerfully, election year ploy or no. Same thing with these screwdrivers. When a memo circulating soon after the raises announced that the new screwdrivers were on their way, few cared that the guild chair was so naked in his attempt to score points with the elevator uh, electorate. Let me make sure, with the electorate. Yeah, the electorate. For the new screwdrivers were quite beautiful, even since the city granted license to the department. Hold on. Hold on, family. Let me make sure I'm doing the right thing here. Okay, I'm on the right thing. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop there. Let me see. Okay, I already read that. I already read that. So I don't know how I lost the spot, but okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna end it there, and then we'll start back. Or let me just go ahead and do this page, and then I'll have a place to start and stop because I've gotten a little lost. Okay, meant to draw attention from Chancre's opponent in the race for the guild chair, the liberal Orville Lever, who apparently thinks that only intuitionists are capable of building coalitions. Shaking hands with fundamentally different people, etc. Lily Mae, who, by the way, is still not making much headway in the evening traffic, may be an intuitionist, but she is a colored woman, which is more to the point. Chancre's assistant left a note on her desk. Your good service won't be forgotten after the election. As if she needed to be bribed with a vague promise of promotion, and probably a lie anyway. It's her job. She's taken an oath, and such things are to be taken seriously. Lily Mae held the note in her small hands, and even though she did not look up her desk, she knew that all of them, the old dogs and the new guys, in their retrograde safety haircuts, were looking at her the way the gossip flows in the pit. Lily Mae is situated quite far downstream. They probably knew she got the case before she did. Probably skinny Nad, that vapor, that meandering cumulus masquerading as a man, sentenced to desk duty after the infamous Johnson Towers debacle. Talked to a guy who talked to a guy in Chancre's inner circle, and the word came down. The colored gal gets the job. Not any of them, not Pompey. There are no surprise in election years, just a bit more static. And there's Chancre, now arms strunts at the rails of his signature double-breasted suit, 20 feet tall on a billboard for the United Elevator Company. Lily Mae's car creeps through the bottleneck at the entrance to the tunnel. So there's no missing him. No more honking for this moon procession. They can see the tunnel now, and there is always the mandatory period of pension. Anticipation on entering the tunnel. All safe declared the copy across the feed. A play on Otis' famous declarations at the 1853 Crystal Palace Exposition. The reference doesn't mean much to the people in the car across Lily Mae's elevator. Ads probably only register in civilian heads as a dim affirmation of modernity. Happy progress to be taken for granted and subsequently cherished, but Otis' phrase is the hoist pulling her and her fellow inspectors out of bed each morning, the sacred motto. All right, I'm going to end it there and get started. All right, family, I want to thank you for being here for this reading. We'll continue from there another time. I will put the video, I will put it up the next live. With that said, always remember true love, real peace, and the higher self within the soul. Till next time, peace.